this mic live? Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We are about to begin. Thank you for joining us for the 2015 Administrators Awards ceremony. This is Nicholas Peak, your announcer for the afternoon. Please silence your phones and electronic devices. A brief note on security. In the event of a fire, we will exit to the rear of the auditorium, which is to say behind you. Turn left and exit onto Independence Avenue. For those of you receiving group awards, I will provide instructions on getting your certificates and on photo order at the close of the ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise as we will open the ceremony with the national anthem sung by Doc Lumpkins.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Administrator of FEMA, Craig Fugate.
So how many people knew that Nick was the voice of FEMA? And thanks, Doc. Last year, we'd heard rumors that Doc did a lot of karaoke and did a lot of singing in the shower. So he said, hey, why don't we get Doc to sing to us? And last year, we had to use cattle prods to get him out here. This year, he was a little bit more willing. But thank you, Doc, and to everybody putting this together. I get the honor to introduce the Secretary of Homeland Security to you guys. You're used to dealing with me, but one of the people that I get to work for has had a very interesting career in this administration. Started out as the General Counsel for DOD. And while he was there, was instrumental in doing several things that people said would never happen. Probably the one that got a little bit of conversation, but really gives you some insight into his ability to take very complex issues that have oftentimes very emotional feedback on, both for and against, and bring people to consensus to do the right thing, was the policy to get rid of the don't ask, don't tell, and recognize that people of all sexual orientations who are willing to serve and fulfill their obligations freely without any mental reservation should be able to serve honorably in the military. That was our secretary as General Counsel working with Congress to repeal that. Something that a lot of people said couldn't be done. He is known as somebody who can bring very diverse groups together, work on very complex issues, reach common ground, and move forward. His efforts in addressing our immigration policy, are securing our borders, bringing unity to the department, and providing the leadership that we need as an organization. In my experience is we've got a good one. And it's a pleasure working for him. So at this time, I want to introduce to you your Secretary of Homeland Security, Secretary Johnson.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Craig. I almost could not resist the opportunity to come here and wear my Craig Fugate windbreaker and have Craig outdress me in a suit. But my folks said, no, don't do that. Wear your suit. So I'm here. I'm very pleased to be here among the many awardees. Some of you, I hope at least, are thinking, boy, the Secretary, despite all of the issues and challenges going on lately, the skyjacking at Cyprus, the shooting yesterday at the Capitol, the terrorist attack in Brussels, looks so rested, handsome, tanned. I will tell you, it's because I am wearing makeup. The reason I'm wearing makeup, I was on Morning Joe this morning at 6:30. I got in the makeup chair and I said, make me pretty, make me younger, and make me look not so tired. I literally fell asleep while she was putting the makeup on. I have been many places with our workforce lately, including today. This afternoon, I'll fly out to the West Coast. Next week will be Miami. Many of you may have seen that I was at BWI 2 weeks ago. I literally put on the TSA uniform and worked alongside our TSOs for an hour or so. Literally nobody, none of the passengers had any idea that the Secretary of Homeland Security handed them back their jewelry out of the bin and said, have a nice flight. They just, the usual reaction. So finally, after an hour of this, I couldn't stand it anymore. I saw a very nice couple go through the screening. The wife, they were on their way to their grandson's wedding in North Carolina. And they were probably in their 80s. There's a picture of this on Twitter. My time at BWI went viral. The photographs went viral. And there's a photograph of me pushing this very nice lady and her husband in a wheelchair down to her gate. I couldn't stand it anymore. I was watching them after they got through the screening. And I said, hi, I'm Jay Johnson. Do you know who I am? And the gentleman looked at me and he said, yes, I do. You said you were Jay Johnson. Well, that's not quite what I meant. Have you ever heard of Undercover Boss? And they said, yeah. I'm here to salute the awardees and be with all of you on this special day. FEMA, in my opinion, is an organization that the American public truly does appreciate and value. There's a poll out conducted by Pew Research that shows over the last 60 years or so the decline in the public confidence in the federal government's ability to do its job and make the right decisions for the American public. At the top of the list, where the government in general used to be, is disaster response. Something like 75% of the American public has confidence in your ability to respond to natural disasters, which speaks volumes about your leadership, about the people I'm looking at, and about our awardees. I have been to enough, yes, please, go ahead. Come on. I have been to enough disaster relief situations in Washington State, in Arkansas, Florida, Houston, to know the incredible job you do. When I leave there, people often say to me, this is what the federal government does best. I know of FEMA's excellent standing in the community because, and I'm sure Craig and Joe have experienced this, and many of you have experienced this multiple times when you go with the FEMA windbreaker, every politician in the state wants to be in the photo with you because they want to stand with you. I'll never forget May 2014. I was on my way to Arkansas, And the night before, I got an email, Bill Clinton wants to be with you. And we toured Arkansas, and I'm with the former President of the United States, who wants to be with the people of Arkansas to be part of the disaster relief. And, you know, I'm trying to move from place to place to place expeditiously so I can cover as much ground as possible, which is impossible to do with Bill Clinton in Arkansas. Mr. Clinton, my daddy was a state trooper when you were governor. Can I get a selfie with you? And it just took forever. Finally, I had to. But it is a tribute to all of you that the public has such a high regard for your work. I've been places where basically the attitude was, the Lord and FEMA will save me. And I'm pleased that today you are awarding people and acknowledging and recognizing people for their exemplary emergency response, for their innovation, and for their care for the survivors of natural disasters. And so from the Department of Homeland Security, from me, I want to give all of you a heartfelt, genuine thank you and salute you for your efforts.
We now have a short video to introduce the category of Exemplary Emergency Manager.
Being an emergency manager is tough business, but FEMA has put forth core values for us. It is compassion, integrity, fairness, and respect. Being able to give the right mix of each of those core values from the inception of the disaster to closing it out serves as excellence. We get challenged. It's very difficult at times to be compassionate. It becomes difficult at times to hold your integrity. But being able to hold forth all of those core values throughout your entire process of a disaster is excellence.
And so when you talk about emergency managers, and you talk about being an exemplary emergency manager, it isn't that you do one thing great. It's that you can do a lot of things well, you're flexible, and you're the type of person that can add value to an organization in a crisis.
One, what I appreciate in an emergency manager is a bias toward action, right? Because oftentimes, sort of in a day-to-day setting, we rely on supervisors, instructions, standard operating procedures to do our job. But when we're faced with crisis, oftentimes we're going to have to act. We're going to have to act at all levels to do the right thing at the right time for the people out in the communities that we're supporting.
To me, to be an exemplary emergency manager, and how I define that is to be able to be out there, to have that passion for emergency management, and to be in the field during times of emergency, whether it's responding to disasters or being out there during times to prepare for disasters.
Thank you. The awards you are about to see highlight exactly the qualities our leadership have just described. Now gives me great pleasure to introduce the first award winner in the category of Exemplary Emergency Manager. The award goes to Jessica Specht for her effort creating rapid access to Ebola training for international medical providers. Jessica expedited international medical providers training at the Center for Domestic Preparedness in Ebola response, improving response time and saving lives. As a result of her efforts, medical providers from 30 countries were able to immediately participate in the training and significantly expedite their response time to Africa. Next is another individual award for building preparedness capacity for houses of worship. The award goes to Marcus Coleman. Marcus orchestrated cross-country and virtual preparedness trainings for houses of worship, reaching 4,150 faith leaders and other officials. Thousands of faith and community-based leaders now have the capability to develop their own emergency operations plans and have been introduced to local emergency and law enforcement officials who can further assist them. Next is an individual award for Tom Morgan for his efforts leading the Ready Campus program expansion and delivery. Tom significantly expanded the Ready Campus program and created, published, and distributed a Ready Campus development guide. Tom more than doubled the number of Ready Campus events in Region 7, delivering and supporting 12 separate events at 6 major universities that reached approximately 41,000 students, university staff, and other participants. The next individual award goes to Eric Susi for his leadership of the Modeling and Data Working Group. Eric has led the Emergency Support Function Leadership Group Modeling and Data Working Group, which has produced the most useful decision support tools for response in years. The group brought together the disparate group of models, data sets, developers, users, and emergency managers to tackle how FEMA and the emergency management profession use science to affect outcomes. Next is an individual award for Madeline Goldfarb for her work coordinating a disability oversight sheltering exercise. This exercise was only the second such exercise to take place in the U.S. Approximately 50 volunteer members of the disabled community and an equal number of first responders and emergency shelter volunteers came together, illustrating the importance of including the whole community in disaster planning. The first group award in this category goes to 3 teams for their support of the response to the Ebola virus disease. The 3 teams are the National Incident Management Assistance Team East 1, the National Incident Management Assistance Team East 2, and the National Incident Management Assistance Team West. Receiving the award for each team respectively are Josh Carey, Robert Hutchinson, and Rodney Melsick. All 3 National Incident Management Assistant teams deployed to support the response to Ebola by providing skilled emergency management assistance to our interagency partners. The Ebola virus disease mission was unique for an IMAT deployment, as the event was non-Stafford Act and required interagency coordination without the traditional authorities and structure that the IMATs generally operate within. The next group award goes to the Ukraine National Emergency Plan Team. The mission of the Ukrainian Emergency Contingency Plan, ECP team, was to avert a humanitarian crisis that could result from the disruption of domestic energy infrastructure and the loss of natural gas imports during the upcoming winter months. As a result of the team's efforts, the contingency plan was adopted and implemented by the Prime Minister personally, and has been put to use in response to ongoing effects from the conflict in Ukraine. Receiving the award on behalf of the team is Vincent Makovich. The members of the team are Craig Levy, David Kang, Eric Susi, Margarita Andrushenko, Thomas Raymond, Vincent Makovich, Ryan Tige, Thomas Wilder, Lauren McLean, J.B. Cuartas, Jolene Jubela, Tim Smith, Jeff Blizzard, and Jess Bratton. The next group award is for the International Assistance System, IAS, Concept of Operations 2015 Revision. The 2015 International Assistance System Task Force redesigned the International Assistance System Concept of Operations to provide efficient management of international aid following a Stafford Act declaration. As a key logistical resource for addressing resource gaps, the 2015 International Assistance System Concept of Operations provides atypical resourcing that expands FEMA to provide life-saving assistance to disaster survivors from a domestic to a global reach. Andrew Slayton is receiving the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in recognizing the full team of Andrew, Carol Cameron, Steve White, Michael Delman, Lisa Kachka, Fred Endricott, and Dean Scott. The next group award goes to the team that created the New York and New Jersey Federal Leadership Resilience Collaborative. This team built the administrative backbone that enabled the Region 2 regional administrators for 6 agencies to inaugurate the New York and New Jersey Federal Leadership Resilience Collaborative. This high-level interagency partnership has created, among other things, a comprehensive database of all participating agencies' projects, allowing users to drill down to the community and even neighborhood levels, examining intersections and gaps among more than 500 projects being pursued with a combined $40 billion in federal investment. Receiving the award on behalf of the team is Michael Auden. The members of the team are Patrick Tui, Irene Shang Simino, and Michael Auden. The next group award is for building the disaster workforce. In FY15, less than 100 reservists were hired for the public assistance cadre. Between October and December of 2015, this reservist hiring team's efforts led to 260 individuals being cleared by security and completing or being scheduled for emergency manager orientation. The hiring of these individuals has enabled the public assistance program to get closer to the needed force structure requirements, which enables the agency to prepare for, protect against, respond to, recover from, and mitigate all hazards. Lorraine Cantalino will receive the award on the team's behalf. The members of the team are Lorraine, Christina Pooler, James Bird, Angela Riffner, Kenneth Richards, and Cedric Michael. The next award is for the team that established the Office of the Flood Insurance Advocate. In the first year alone, the Office of the Flood Insurance Advocate was successful in saving a number of policyholders tens of thousands of dollars in premiums, thereby allowing them to avoid foreclosure and remain in their homes. As a result of the annual report, the Office of the Flood Insurance Advocate established strong working relationships across the Federal Insurance and Mitigation Administration, and program offices have identified and committed to solutions to address the issues identified, which will have an even larger impact on national flood insurance customers. Rhonda Montgomery will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in congratulating David Sterrett, Rhonda Montgomery, Kristen Robinson, Melissa Anderson, Stephen Ardito, Errol Guerin, Edith Lohman, Brian Coper, Melanie Milligan, and Deborah Parker on this team. The next group award goes to the National Preparedness System Refresh. Over the last 13 months, This team has worked with partners from the whole community to revise and expand the National Preparedness Goal, update 5 national planning frameworks, revise 4 federal interagency operational plans, and develop a new protection federal interagency operational plan. They also overhauled the National Disaster Recovery Framework and the Recovery Federal Interagency Operations Plans. Fred Dolan will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in recognizing the full team of Kawana Cohen Hopkins, Fred, Brian Bysham, Andrew Janka, Christopher Clark, Melinda Bridges, Eric Rosner, Michael Hurrick, Eric Lamolt, Caitlin McCarthy, Thomas Breslin, Kevin Long, Jerry Bennett, Thomas Raymond, Kenyatta Blunt, Jolene Jubela, Kimberly Guyman Lamolt, Ryan Velasco, Nathan Rogers, Cooper Hancock, Lucia Schmidt, Dr. Julie Waters, Rachel Meyerson, and Osiel Nava. The next group award for exemplary emergency management goes to the National Spend Plan team. The DRF NSPT developed a DRF Spend Plan reporting dashboard to evaluate and analyze costs and implemented a project tracking tool that is utilized disaster-wide for hazard mitigation and public assistance project details. The team also developed monthly consolidated disaster projection reports for each regional administrator. This tool provides regional leadership a quick view of their total disaster projections, as well as the ability to drill down into the details by event and/or program area. Teresa Nola will receive the award on behalf of the entire Disaster Relief Fund National Spend Plan team. The next group award goes to Continuity Training and Support for First Responders. This team sponsored a series of first responder continuity events for law enforcement, fire departments, and small businesses along the Northeast Corridor and in the Caribbean to ensure that local communities and fire and police departments have the capacity to perform mission-essential functions for the duration of any disaster that may affect their operations. The regions have sponsored 12 sessions in 8 states in partnership with state and local government organizations and have reached more than 1,000 first responders. Russell Fox will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in congratulating Russell, Nathan Spada, Ken Hudson, Anita Womack, Emma Poon, and Anthony Buller. The next group award for exemplary emergency management is for creating resilient communities through innovative mitigation solutions. The group led efforts for high-profile Hurricane Sandy applicants and developed a holistic, integrated mitigation strategy that will reduce long-term flood risk by incorporating multiple mitigation measures to increase resiliency for hospitals, electric utilities, public housing, water and waste infrastructure, schools, transportation infrastructure, and other New York City public agencies covering $10 billion in repair and mitigation costs. The national average metric is, for every dollar spent on repair, 5 cents are spent on mitigation. The New York Sandy Recovery Office average metric is, for every dollar spent on repair, 42 cents are spent on mitigation. Luis Avila will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in recognizing the full team. Boris Yundelson, Luis Avila, Nancy Pogensky, Glennie Rodriguez, Samuel Capasso, and Gerard Wall. The next group award goes to the team that led the preparation of an environmental assessment for demolition or elevation of 136 houses. This team worked with the New York Housing and Urban Development and the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery to write an environmental assessment for the demolition or elevation of 136 houses within a historic district in Sydney, New York. The environmental assessment process helps survivors by protecting their cultural heritage and at the same time providing for the demolition of homes in the most at-risk area in the floodplain, thereby helping reduce future risk. The award goes to Catherine Dluzak and Christine Pewanka-Bernstein. Catherine Dluzak will receive the award on behalf of both. The next award for exemplary emergency management is for the team that created the New Jersey Cultural Alliance for Response. Deborah and Aaron collaborated with New Jersey cultural institutions to build an alliance for emergency preparedness and response. They recognized the need to establish an umbrella organization in which members of the cultural, historic, and arts communities in New Jersey could collaborate on emergency preparedness and response, and that recognition led to the creation of the New Jersey Cultural Alliance for Response. The award goes to Deborah Costa and Aaron Leswing. Deborah Costa will receive the award on behalf of both. The last group award for the Exemplary Emergency Manager category is for the first annual Voluntary Organization Partnership Day. The DHS Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships and the Individual Assistance Division Voluntary Agency Liaisons joined with the National Voluntary Organizations Active in Disaster to present the first annual Voluntary Organization Partnership Day on October 27, 2015. The event improved understanding of whole community resources available for survivors, broadened understanding of how FEMA works with partner agencies to support disaster operations, and raised awareness of the mission and capabilities of voluntary organizations. Alfred Claude will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in congratulating Janice Miller, Stuart Moniz, Teresa Wood, Philip Shaw, Sarah Byrne, Alyssa Young, Alfred Claude, Marcus Coleman, Tamara Thyler, and Caitlin Riconda. We now have a short video to introduce the innovation category.
Innovation requires a person or a team to step back and see a problem, see a challenge, and ask why. Why are we doing this? What is our end goal? What is important for our survivors? And then just step back and think, is this the way it has to be? Are there other ways to do it?
So I think it's important for everyone to come to each disaster with an open mind and really look at what survivors need and what our stakeholders need, both to be able to recover from an event, but also to understand what FEMA can do and what our role is and how we can help.
Being innovative is you don't start with a process. You basically start with, here's where I want to be. This is what I want the outcome to look like. And I build back from that versus I start building something and go, I wonder how far I can go or what I can do with this.
And when you go above and beyond the call of duty, it's that anticipation and it's working with those folks at the front line, getting them what they need, when they need it, how they need it, and doing it in such a way that their difficulties are lessened.
In terms of what it means to be innovative and exemplary as an emergency manager, I'm going to refer to a bad 90s song and say, free your mind and the rest will follow. And to me, that means if you can think about the world, the process, whatever it is, as it should be and not be constrained by how it currently is or what processes, red tape, anything else that exists, you can then figure out what the best solution for the citizen, the survivor, whomever it is, could be, and then you figure out how to implement it and how to go about it.
A real innovator works the community, does it in the right way, finds the mutual agreeable solutions to a variety of different stakeholders and a variety of different perspectives, and puts the mission and the goal above the program, above a particular interest, to do what's right.
The awards you are about to see exemplify the traits we have just heard about, including being open to different solutions and working back from the outcome you want to achieve, rather than focusing on the processes you have already. Please now join me in congratulating the first award winner in the category of innovation. This award goes to Andrea Kratzky for her work to safeguard endangered species using data analytics. Andrea performed a comparative analysis to assess the effects of Hurricane Sandy and its recovery efforts on endangered species. Andrea's study not only reviewed the effects of Hurricane Sandy's landfall on endangered species, but also the impact of the response, recovery, and mitigation efforts that followed. Andrea's work provides a baseline for future efforts. The last individual innovation award goes to Spencer Shargorodsky for his work on the Security, Water, Energy, Accessibility, and Telecoms Board application. Spencer led the effort to modernize situational awareness by developing the Security, Water, Energy, Accessibility, and Telecoms tool, also known as SWET, transforming the decision-making process at FEMA. This tool has already greatly assisted senior leadership in the field and at incident support locations in making timely and informed decisions regarding the priority of resources based on a reliable picture of the critical infrastructure. The first Innovation Group Award is for the FEMA mobile app Weather Alerts feature. The disaster management team in External Affairs implemented a new Weather Alerts feature on the FEMA app that informs users of severe weather that threatens family and friends. As of December 2015, there were nearly 30,000 subscribers to the new feature, approximately 25% of the total 210,000 active users of the FEMA mobile app since its launch in October 2011. Bettina Adenolfi will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join in congratulating Bettina, Tracy Crawford, Kevin Williams, Shane Adamski, David Watson, Daniel Yarges, Jason Lindesmith, Lucia Castro Herrera, and Susan Hendrick. We now present a group award for outstanding coordination of all external audits. The Audit Liaison Office coordinated closing 235 recommendations, 111 audits, and achieved a 100% success rate on the timeliness of all OIG reports. They also managed 90 ongoing GAO-OIG audits, averaging 61.5 out of 90 days. During FY15, the quantity of FEMA GAO and OIG audit recommendations open for more than 2 years has been reduced by 55%, and the quantity of GAO and OIG recommendations open more than 5 years has been reduced by 72%. Gary McEwen will receive the award on behalf of the team. Join me in recognizing the full team of Gina Norton, Seth Eames, Maureen Rogers, Gary, Luz Velez, and Rosalind Dunn Alexander. The next Innovation Group Award goes to the World Trade Center Employee Orientation Video Team. This team conducted the intensive coordination and planning necessary to produce a video that would inform and educate FEMA Region 2 employees about how to prepare for the move to the World Trade Center, the safety and security features of the building and campus, and the open office concept. Throughout the process, they strove to better understand and help meet the needs of the employee community by engaging employees in the process and providing them with the information they need to make decisions and to take action. James Miller will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in congratulating James Miller and Stephen Zumwalt. The next group award is for the Configurable Assistance Tool. Configurable Assistance allows critical needs assistance payments, expedited rental assistance payments, and home repair and replacement housing to be awarded before a home inspection happens. This tool will allow FEMA to provide immediate assistance to survivors in specified disaster-affected areas based on GIS and other configuration data. Survivors will now get the resources they need more quickly. Rachel French will receive the award on behalf of the team. In recognition of the full team, the recipients are Rob Wilson, Rachel French, Kevin Poole, Lori Neff, Tamara Moore, and Vienna Ferris. The next group award goes to Joshua Keller and Cody Hughes for the creation of a fast and easy application for distributing disaster images to survivors. Unfortunately, neither recipient is here to receive the award on behalf of the team. But this team developed the image uploader, which cuts in half the time it takes to upload and share aerial photos of disasters. The resulting public-facing FEMA image event map allows officials and citizens to see the impacts of disasters within hours of being overflown by the Civil Air Patrol. Beyond directly assisting survivors in seeing whether their homes were damaged, this application allows emergency managers to quickly see and identify areas with significant impacts and to focus federal support where it is most needed. Their award will be forwarded to them.
Okay, can you show me what happened? These guys did it. That's innovation.
The next group award is for the We Prepare Every Day inclusive and fully accessible preparedness public service announcements. Among those surveyed in FEMA's 2014 Preparedness in America report, only 69% of individuals with disabilities believed that preparing for a weather emergency helps, compared with about 76% of all others. In 2015, this team created the first of its kind innovative marketing campaign titled We Prepare Every Day to deliver a whole community inclusive preparedness message by showing people with disabilities preparing themselves, their families, and their communities for emergencies. Karen Coates will receive the award for External Affairs, and Marcy Roth will receive the award for the Office of Disability Integration and Coordination. Let us recognize the full team of Karen and Marcy, Brian Hired, Jana Baldwin, Jacob Rodriguez Noble, Jacqueline Snelling, Zachary Kittry, Aretha Carter, Kirsten Roth, Alexandra Travis, and Gay Jones. We now present the Innovation Group Award for the San Andreas Movie Premier Preparedness Partnerships and Public Outreach. FEMA Region 9 partnered with regional movie theaters, state and local emergency managers, and other federal agencies, Warner Brothers Studios, and the Ad Council to promote preparedness and action across the region. This team promoted a PSA to accompany the movie to help provide earthquake safety information, and FEMA staff coached moviegoers on preparedness by showing how to download the FEMA app and by sharing myth-busting earthquake facts. Josie Arcurio will receive the award on behalf of the entire team. Please join me in recognizing Randy Brawley, William Kuhn, Casey DeShong, John Hamill, Mary Sims, Joanne Scordino, Josie Arcurio, Veronico Verde, David Vasquez, Josh Guerrero, Kelly Hudson, Laurel Ryan, Teresa Lelinde, Sarah Owen, Jonathan Bartlett, and Christine Borgognoni. The next Innovation Group Award is for the implementation of the Public Assistance Alternative Procedures Pilot Program. This team used the Alternative Procedures Pilot Program to collaborate with multiple states and interagency partners to create and fund the largest grants in public assistance history. In all, the team provided subgrantees $9.9 billion in repair, restoration, and mitigation projects, including $2.9 billion for the New York City Housing Authority and $1.8 billion for the New York City Health and Hospital Corporation, the two largest grants in the 25-year history of the Public Assistance Program. Irene Pan will receive the award on behalf of the entire team. Oh, Eddie Williams, Irene Pan, Sarah Bishop, David Davich, Anastasia Holmes, Edith Vincent Maitland, Valerie Hayes, John Dawson, Heather R. Smith, Frank Matranga, Deanna Platt, and John Koval. The next Innovation Group Award goes to the Interagency Recovery Readiness Assessment Work Group. Over an 8-month period, the working group designed and conducted an initial assessment of federal readiness organized by recovery core capabilities and established an initial baseline of federal recovery capability and capacity. The Office of Management and Budget subsequently invited these agencies to submit budget requests based on the gaps identified in the assessment. FEMA did so, and OMB included $2.8 million in additional funding to support interagency capability and cadre development in the 2017 budget passback. Moreover, because of the assessment, several agencies agreed to further support interagency recovery processes. Andrew O'Neill will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me in recognizing the full team of Dan Alexander, Michelle Block, Matt Campbell, Dan Pollitt-Chapman, Roy Dunn, Naveen Joade, Savin Van Johnson, Angelina Leger, Bruce Montemayor, Jose Gil Montanez, Andrew O'Neill, Kelly Wolslayer, Jerilee Bennett, Ryan Velasco, Marty Bahamonde, Aaron Hoffman, and Jennifer Lieb. The next group award goes to the Public Assistance Reengineering Team. In less than 6 months, this team designed a new process model, developed software requirements to support the new program, identified a data exchange portal, designed electronic templates for some project worksheets, developed the first training package to test the new programs, and completed project worksheet tracking tools. The new processes are estimated to save the agency approximately $60 million per year in administrative and contract costs. Jeffrey Stekenberg will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please also congratulate Chris Tetswari, Patrick Kenny Jr., Tracy Phillips, Denise Yandel, Jessica Stewart, Tessa Wicks, Molly Evancho, Mike McCluskey, Jeffrey Starkenberg, Beth Waltemath, Will Harris, Benji Abbott, and Sid Melton. The next group award for innovation is for cross-training logistics and operations to support public assistance. Facing critical staffing shortfalls and looking for creative approaches, this team created a comprehensive multi-audience field readiness program while simultaneously standing up a public assistance disaster operation to serve 44 counties in the state of Kansas. Ultimately, the endeavor increased FEMA and state operational capability, leaving both in stronger position to respond to future events. David Moore will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please also congratulate Charles Langwish, Thomas Magnuson, Patrick Carnahan, Richard Conrado, Samuel Babeau, Joyce Wells, and Janet Morris. The last group award in this category is for mitigation cross-training to support public assistance. To meet staffing needs, this team considered all disciplines and found similarities between public assistance and mitigation. The initial pilot program tested in DR 4225 and Region 7 resulted in the adoption of formalized cross-training, new subordinate DTS titles, and a memorandum of agreement between FEMA and recovery directorates that were expanded to other cadres to train over 225 FEMA employees at the Emergency Management Institute. The integration of cadres into public assistance strengthened FEMA's workforce by providing a surge recovery staff for public assistance, enabling risk reduction and allowing Region 7 to cancel a $7.9 million technical assistance contract. Mark South will receive the award on behalf of this team. Congratulate the full team of Tara Hallmark, Victoria Kraus, Audrey DeWitt, Thomas Connolly, Robert Goucher, Kim Wilderson, Beatrice Long, John Wilmot, Alan Garrison, Mark South, Jacob Eckes, and Jose Mateo Morel. Now we have a short video to introduce the final category, Outstanding Survivor Service.
I've been trying to get people to focus on being survivor-centric, and people go, what does that really mean?
Being survivor-centric means that we revolve around that survivor, around that community, that we look at all of the authorities that we have, and not just the programs that we have, but the authorities to say, are we meeting the needs, the true needs of that disaster survivor?
I have found that same service mentality that was in the fire service, I have found it at FEMA. And there are great people within the organization that are dedicated to helping others. And so I see it as there's just a service mentality and a desire to really connect with people and help people. And that's what it means, I think, to really provide outstanding survivor service. You need that type of a mindset that you are there to help and to serve.
Outstanding customer service is more than a goal or words on paper. When we stretch ourselves to go the extra mile for a disaster survivor or community, we change lives. It's meaningful action that transforms individuals, businesses, governments, tribal nations, and communities in a positive way.
We have to think of the people that we're helping at the same way we would think of as our family members, our fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, children, and how would we treat those people as our family members. So when we respond to and help our communities and first responders deal with crisis, that's how we need to view it, right? With compassion.
Are we solving for the person we serve? Or are we solving for making our job easy? And so we want to reward those people that really take the steps to say, I'm going to solve for my customer, and I'll do the heavy lifting on my end so they don't have to.
Just as with the previous categories, the awards you are now about to see demonstrate these ideas exactly. Whether we are doing the heavy lifting for our customers or whether we are using all of the authorities we have to serve our survivors, these awards exemplify outstanding survivor service. Please now congratulate me no, don't do that at all. Please now join me in congratulating the first award winner in this category. The award goes to James Pearman for his exemplary use of alternative dispute resolution to enhance community recovery and build resilience. Alternative Dispute Resolution Advisor James Pearman was instrumental in the Federal Disaster Recovery Coordinator's effort to enhance community recovery efforts and build resilience in Galena, Alaska. Jim quickly became a trusted neutral party and sounding board for the State Disaster Recovery Coordinator and state staff, and later built similar relationships with the community and with tribal leadership. The success of Jim's skillful facilitation did not end with his departure. Galena recognized the value of using a skillful facilitator to work out complex internal issues and has identified an in-state facilitator to sustain the effort going forward. The last individual Outstanding Survivor Service Award goes to Gary Stanley for his excellent leadership for the first ever Individual Assistance Declaration and Permanent Housing Mission to Tribal Nations. Unfortunately, Mr. Stanley could not be here today. However, as the federal coordinating officer, Gary is leading the implementation of the first ever Permanent Housing Construction, PHC, mission in the continental U.S. during the first ever individual assistance declaration made directly to a tribal nation. Under Gary's leadership, this team has remained committed to the mission and has exhibited perseverance in systematically and creatively ensuring the delivery of all applicable federal government and non-governmental programs and services that can support the disaster survivors. Stanley's award will be forwarded to him. The first group award for Outstanding Survivor Service goes to Kathleen Madigan and Ernest Marbell for their work addressing the impact of home elevation on accessibility. After Hurricane Sandy, there was a need for a concerted effort to ensure that older survivors, people with disabilities, those with access and functional needs, people with limited English proficiency, and low-income survivors would not be displaced by the recovery process. This team created 3 products to help survivors address home elevation's impact on accessibility: a resource guide, an informational video, and a workshop series that are being presented to Sandy-impacted communities. The next group award goes to the Region 6 Closeout Initiative team for completing 18,000 project worksheets and closing 80 disasters. Region 6 Public Assistance closed 18,516 project worksheets in 2015. This was more than any other region and comprised 36.6% of the national total. For the closeout of work for an entire declared major disaster, emergency, or fire management assistance grant, Region 6 Public Assistance closed 80 disasters, or 60.1% of the national total. Linda Branton will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join me also in congratulating Greg Eaton, Bill Boone, Dee Conklin, Linda Branton, Linda Tyson, Mary Salimi, Pat Hanger, Chris Walsh, Carrie DuBois, Melinda Dunn, and Ken Davis. The next Outstanding Survivor Service Group Award is for the initiative to procure fire sprinkler-equipped manufactured housing units. This team embarked upon an extensive effort to modify the existing manufactured housing unit contracts to add sprinklers. They also initiated extensive market research, ultimately resulting in a decision to recommend a separate contract for procurement of a tank and pump system for each manufactured housing unit. The typical Office of the Chief Financial Officer timeline for either of these major design and acquisition efforts is between 12 and 18 months. This team accomplished both in less than 4 months. Abraham Gunn will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please also recognize Matthew Rabkin, Robert Hawkins, Edward Taylor, Brenda Taylor, Edwin Martinez, Rashawn Edwards, Lawrence McKenna Jr., and John Gensel. The next group award is for provision of permanent housing provision to the Oglala Sioux tribe. As a result of this team's commitment to provide real and effective assistance to the Oglala Nation, over 200 survivors will receive new permanent homes, replacing their uninhabitable and not feasibly reparable homes damaged in the event. In addition, over 100 tribal members' homes will be repaired to habitable standards, providing them with a safe, secure, and sanitary long-term housing solution, which would not have been possible but for the team's survivor-centric, pragmatic, and long-term view. Ricky Stevenson will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please join in congratulating everyone that supported this effort at headquarters and in the field, including the full team at the Joint Field Office for Disaster 4237, with special thanks to Megan Floyd, Ricky Stevenson, and George Betts, Paul Munganast, William Gibbons, Abraham Gunn, Renee Bird, Munira Mack, Mary Ellen Martinet, and Charles Sen. The next group award is for volunteer service beyond normal duties in support of community recovery. On the island of Saipan, a zoo and a dog shelter were both damaged by Typhoon Soudelor. The dog shelter was not only heavily damaged, but also had to contend with an increase in homeless dogs because of the disaster. This FEMA group volunteered extensively both before and after work, and on weekends, to help meet this community need, as well as by donating their own money to buy food for the animals. They continued volunteering until the deployment ended, showing consistent dedication to serving survivors, whether on the job or off, and representing the very best of FEMA ideals to the community. Ryan Brown will receive the award on behalf of the team. Also congratulate Steve de Blasio, Ryan Brown, Dolores Domingo, Gabriella King, Linda Taylor, Garen Comstock, Adam Haynes, Ben Barron, Ben Curran, James Funk, John Gibbons, Kelly Jo Rivas, and Michael Ledoux. The final group award goes to the Public Assistance Program and Policy Guide team. In just over 1 year, this team reviewed, analyzed, and updated every policy and guidance document used to implement the PA program, cutting roughly 800 pages to create the PA program and policy guide. It is easily searchable for any topic and eliminates redundancy, inconsistency, and outdated policy information. This document will improve the efficiency and effectiveness of the program by significantly reducing confusion and inconsistent application of PA policy, and it will improve the PA program's ability to update policy in a timely and comprehensive manner. Rachel Hildebrand will receive the award on behalf of the team. Please also recognize Molly Avancho, Howard Stronach, Kevin J. Rutherford, Denise Yandel, Kim Hazel, and Jotham Allen. Well, please join us in one final round of applause for the 2015 award recipients. This concludes the 2015 FEMA Administrators Awards ceremony. Thank you all for coming. Award winners and their guests are invited to a reception immediately following the ceremony in the 400 C Street Conference Center.
Well, everybody, I want to thank Secretary Johnson for his generous time here. And I want to thank the families and your guests that are here. Too often we always recognize the employees. We forget it's the home where everything happens. If you're not good at home, it's hard to be good at the job. For those of you family members who give up your family for long deployments, long hours, and when we bring home our work and it's kind of a frustrating day, to you, we thank you. Without you, it's hard to do our jobs. And then I'd really like to be able to go back to just about every award and say, gee whiz, gosh, and stuff. And if I start calling one or two out, I'll forget a few and everybody will be hurt. And so I want to put it this way. When I came to FEMA in 2009, it seemed like every time we had a problem, the immediate answer from the front office was we had to go outside of FEMA to get the answer. And I said, hey, wait a minute. We got a lot of smart people at FEMA. Why don't we give them a chance to solve the problem? Well, that wasn't what we did. And I decided that if I had any say in it, I was going to ask the hard things of you guys. Because my experience told me, having worked with FEMA as a state director, some of the smartest people in the business work for FEMA, whether they were a reservist, a Corps, or a PFT full-time. And we too oftentimes took our problems elsewhere, and we didn't ask ourselves to solve the problems. You heard the accomplishments of your team, and again, I do not nominate people. You nominate your peers. They may call this the Administrator's Awards, but this is truly a peer-driven process of you identifying your peers and their work. But look at all the accomplishments that you guys did. Think about this. When I got to FEMA, tribal governments will never allow them to seek disaster declarations because it's too hard. We got the law changed. Turned out it wasn't too hard. We'll never do direct housing missions in the states. That's only something we do in the territories. Now we just did it in the tribe. We'll never put sprinklers in manufactured housing. It's too hard. No, it wasn't. You guys did it in less than 4 months. And set industry standards. The thing I really want you guys to walk away from here, particularly for our visitors and guests, if you got a hard problem, ask FEMA. Thank you.
Now, all award winners and their guests are invited to a reception immediately following the ceremony at 400 C Street Conference Center. However, group award winners, please stay for your photos. Please come forward when your group has been called. We will do the photos in the order of the program. The IMAT team photos will be first.